Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about some free transportation programs that could start helping you today. One of the main complaints we get here at Low Income Relief is that people can't afford to get to the places that they want to go. And I know what a headache and a hassle that can be. So, if that is something that you're struggling with, today we're going to talk about several legitimate ways that you can get free rides or very discounted rides to the places that you need to go. And we're going to talk about things like transit passes, gas vouchers, car repairs, free car programs, senior shuttles, and so much more. There are all sorts of resources out there, but a lot of people simply don't know that they exist. And of course, that's what we do here at Low Income Relief is help people find the resources that a lot of people simply don't know are out there. So let's start with some really specific programs. Now, of course, not everyone is going to be eligible for these, but in my opinion, the very best way to get free transportation is to win a free car. This is something our family actually had the privilege of doing at one point in time. So I know how this process works. I know these organizations are legitimate and I love them to pieces. In fact, we have a separate video that lists all the legit car giveaway programs and how to apply. So I'm not going to repeat all of that here. I'm just going to tell you that when you're done watching this video, you should definitely go check the link in the description to watch that other video on how to win a free car, because that can be absolutely life-changing. Now, of course, what if you already have a car? I know a lot of you already do. And in that case, if your barrier is due to car repair or gas money or the cost of insurance, there are programs that can help with that as well. There are many charities, churches, and community funds that help with car repair or can give you gas cards or maybe even help you with car insurance costs. In fact, there are some states that have low-income car insurance programs that are remarkably cheap. So funds for these are often limited. They're often first come, first served. It's important to apply early and follow directions carefully. That's why we have lists on our website of organizations that can help you with things like car repair, gas cards, and other vehicle-related expenses. And I'll make sure to drop those in the description as well, or you can call 211 and see if they are aware of any programs in your area. Now, if you maybe live in a city or somewhere where a vehicle is more of a hassle than a help, there are low-income bike share discounts as well. There are all sorts of different bike share programs. You've got Lime, Spin, Jump Bikes, Divvy, all sorts of different companies that put these bikes in cities for people to use, but sometimes they come with fairly hefty fees. You can often get 50% or more off the cost of those bike shares if you have SNAP, EBT, Medicaid, or other low-income benefits. You may need to upload proof like a benefits letter to their online portal. You often will need to link a debit or credit card as well for any incidental charges. For example, if you didn't return a bike, I'm sure there would be fees associated with that. And of course, all of those programs do have different amounts of included ride minutes, fees, other things like that. Some may include helmets, but you can get all of that information from those providers or from our website, because we do have a list of those as well. Now, if you would prefer to have someone else drive you, there are also a lot of rideshare programs out there that can help you save money. Nonprofits often partner with Lyft or Uber to offer free or discounted rides for jobs, food, medical visits, that sort of thing. For example, the Lyft Up program helps people get to job training, job interviews, and the first 3 weeks of work. It can also help you get to the grocery store or the farmer's market in some cases. These rides may be limited to certain times of day or certain distances, so it's important to confirm those rules ahead of time so that you're not planning to use this and then maybe find out that it's not applicable to your situation. You can learn a lot about these programs at the provider website. For example, the Lyft Up page has a lot of information about that program. You can also call 211 and ask for things like transportation vouchers, rideshare programs, nonprofit ride programs, things like that in your zip code, and they may be able to help you as well. And depending on the occasion, there may be additional opportunities available to you too. For example, on election day, there are a lot of different nonprofits and organizations that offer free transit to polling locations. Some places also offer free rides during heat waves, snow emergencies, or poor air quality days. We've also noticed that on certain days that are more infamous for maybe drunk driving, there have been nonprofits that have organized safe rides home for people. In some cases, that involves giving out a Lyft or an Uber code or organizing shuttle rides, that sort of a thing. So you can always look for those as well. They're especially common on days like New Year's Eve, things like that when people tend to be out late and perhaps intoxicated. For all of these, you will need to verify the dates, the routes, and eligibility locally before you bank on any of this, just because it varies so wildly. If we find things, we'll do our best to cover those for you in future videos or in our email newsletter. If you are not already signed up for our email newsletter, there is a good chance you are missing out on some of the resources that we found for you. So make sure that you go opt in for that as well. Now let's talk about rides for specific needs. For example, we'll start with medical transportation. So if you have Medicaid, you should be able to get what's called non-emergency medical transportation. These are free rides to cover doctor visits, therapy, labs, pharmacy, things that are associated with your medical care. You just need to call the number on the back of your Medicaid card to book these. You need to make sure that you have the date, time, addresses, provider name, all of that information ready when you book. You can also request a return ride back to your home. And if you need one, they should be able to help you with a wheelchair accessible vehicle and escort a bus pass, things like that. In some cases, they may choose to pay you based on mileage or help you arrange for your own transportation. Rules do vary by state and plan on that, so you'll want to call ahead and confirm what's available in your area. If you're a veteran, you may also be eligible for VA beneficiary travel or the DAV vans. These are different ways of getting to medical appointments at the VA Medical Center. If you are taking care of your own transportation and you are eligible, then you may be able to get reimbursement from the VA beneficiary travel system. If you don't have any way of getting there on your own, then you may be able to get a ride there through the DAV vans. Those have been very, very useful to a lot of people. You do need to make sure that you are coordinating well in advance, though. And if you have certain medical conditions, you may also be able to get transportation assistance through patient assistance funds. These are special funds that are set up for people who have certain diagnoses. And a lot of them set aside a certain amount of money, like $500 a year or so, to help people with certain conditions get to their appointments. You can search for these at organizations like panfoundation.org or one of the other patient assistance programs we've talked about in other videos. These can be very helpful, especially if you live in a rural area and you have to travel farther for your care. Now let's talk about some public transit options. I know these are really popular and pretty accessible, actually. For example, we found reduced fares in a lot of different areas. Many transit agencies offer big discounts for seniors, people with disabilities, low-income riders, students, and so on. These can cut your costs by half or more, and sometimes they can even make all of your rides free. Now, you do usually need to provide proof of participation in another low-income program, such as SSI, SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, that sort of a thing. If you are age 60 or older, or you have a Medicare card, you can ask for the senior fare. That's usually pretty generous. Or if you're younger but low income, you can ask about low income discounts or disability discounts, that sort of a thing. It's always worth inquiring. The worst they can do is tell you no, but we've seen some very generous offers out there. So I'd encourage you to look into that. Now, if you need a special transportation because you can't use regular buses or trains because of a disability, you may qualify for Paratransit, which provides door-to-door service. That means they can pick you up near your front door, they can drop you off at your destination, they can also bring you back home, usually for the same price or less than you would pay for a bus. Now, you do need to apply for this. There's a bit of a process there. They have to determine that you're eligible. As a part of this process, you may need to provide information about your condition or your travel barriers. You do need to book early and ahead of time. Usually you'll need to book 1 to 2 days in advance, and you can usually bring someone with you if you need to do that. Along with that, many towns run on-demand shuttles that you can book with a phone or an app. They call these Dial-A-Ride in a lot of places. This is especially common in areas where bus routes are limited. These services often specifically serve seniors, people with disabilities, or low-income neighborhoods. You will need to ask about the service zone, pickup window, and so on and so forth to make sure that you're eligible for this. If you don't use apps, a lot of times they'll allow you to call in and book, or they'll find other ways that you can reach that service. I know even Uber, I was seeing, if you don't want to use the app, they'll let you call things in, which is really accommodating. I think that's really helpful. To see if Dial-A-Ride is available in your area, I recommend that you reach out to your local nonprofits, your local transit service if you have one, or your city or town hall to see if this is something that is available in your area. Now, as we wrap up here, let's talk about some other helpful agencies that may be able to assist you if you're struggling with transportation barriers. So, area agencies on aging are a great resource for seniors or people of any age that have a disability. They often have volunteer drivers. They may be able to help you with senior shuttles or escorted rides. Sometimes they can take you to medical appointments or the senior center. Sometimes they can take you shopping. And in some cases, they may ask for a donation, but if you can't afford it, you can usually get that service at a reduced or waived cost. They may also be able to assist you with door to door help, getting into the vehicle, into the building, and so on. And like I said, there's all sorts of different things that they often offer transportation for, and those may be recurring. So definitely reach out to your local area agency on aging if you need help with that. If you are a person with a disability, your local Center for Independent Living may also be able to assist you. These are organizations that help people with disabilities live more independently. They may be able to help you apply for paratransit, reduced fare cards, travel training, all sorts of different things. They can often advocate for you if you've been denied or if a service isn't accessible in your area. They also often loan mobility devices or trip planning skills if those are things that you need. And it's really easy. You just look up the number for your local one, call in and say, hey, I need transportation support and help. Is that something you can help me with? And then let them take that conversation from there. If you are looking for work, you may also be able to receive transportation support from organizations like your local workforce center, SNAP education and training programs, if those are available in your area, the TANF program, vocational rehab. All of these organizations can usually assist you with bus passes or rides to interviews or new jobs. Because when you get a new job, if you don't have the money or the ability to get to that job for the first few weeks, then getting the job isn't really going to help you. So a lot of organizations will help you in those first 3 weeks of work, including if you live in some areas, the Lift Up program that we discussed earlier will help you get to work for those first 3 weeks as well. Because that's, often about how long it takes for you to get your first check. When you call these organizations, you can use the words supportive services or transportation services and explain that transportation is your main barrier to employment. These organizations are there to help you get employment. If transportation is the problem, they should be able to help you fix that in a lot of cases. You can ask if they help with bus passes, gas cards, or temporary rides until you get that first check. You do need to be prepared to provide information about your job leads, interview information, expected income, things like that, as part of the usual application process, but that should be fairly easy to do. Now, if you have students in your household, I know obviously school buses are a thing. Most of us already know about that. But you may not know that homeless students also have rights under the McKinney-Vento Act, including help staying in their school of origin. Now, obviously, there's limits to this. If you're homeless 2 states away from the school you used to be in, they're probably not going to be able to help you very much there. But if you are in the next school district over, they may be able to help arrange transportation so that your child can have the stability of the same school that they were in. I've heard there's also assistance for children in foster care or temporary custody arrangements. And many Head Start or early childhood education programs can also assist with transportation, especially in rural areas. So if transportation is creating a hardship in getting your child to school, please speak with your local school about that. Now, if you have been incarcerated or convicted of a crime, there are also transportation options through a lot of reentry and probation support programs as well. These can often cover bus passes, ride vouchers, especially to help you get to court, probation check-ins, job training, interviews, that sort of a thing. If you have a case manager or a probation officer or someone like that, you may be able to confer with them to see if they are aware of any resources that may be available to you. And then make sure that you keep records of what you're doing and how you're accessing those programs, just for your own records in case something comes up later. It's always a good idea to have some documentation there. And of course, like I said, if you're dual eligible for Medicare and Medicaid, I would highly recommend that you reach out to our sponsor chapter so that they can help you make sure that you are getting the best benefits possible out of that coverage. Now, the next thing I want you to do is go check out that video about how to get a free car, because if you haven't already seen that, there are a ton of options out there that may be able to assist you. I'll see you there.